reason I don't want to talk about it is because I've said everything I have to say about it. If anyone cares what I have to say about it, they can Google me, and they can look for 20 years what I have to say about it. I haven't changed my opinion one iota.
Hollywood's most verbose auteur has built an empire on bloody revenge tales and dialogue that actors would kill for. But behind Tarantino's cinematic magic lies a director known for his uncompromising vision and the actors who felt the sharp edge of his perfectionism. While many performers consider a Tarantino role career-defining, others have found themselves on the receiving end of his legendary temper and exacting standards. Here are the 7 actors who had the most contentious relationships with Quentin Tarantino. Uma Thurman. Once considered Tarantino's muse and creative soulmate, Uma Thurman's relationship with the director crumbled following a near-fatal car crash on the set of Kill Bill. Their partnership had produced iconic cinema, from the twist contest in Pulp Fiction to the bride's revenge-fueled rampage. But beneath the surface, tension was building. The breaking point came during Kill Bill filming in Mexico. According to Thurman's 2018 New York Times interview, she expressed concerns about performing a driving stunt on a sandy road in a car she believed was unsafe. Despite her reservations, Thurman claims Tarantino pressured her to do it anyway, reportedly telling her, "Hit 40 miles per hour or your hair won't blow the right way." The result was catastrophic. Thurman lost control of the vehicle, crashed into a palm tree, and sustained permanent injuries to her neck and knees. The seat wasn't screwed down properly, Thurman told the Times. It was a death box. But what truly fractured their relationship wasn't just the accident, it was the aftermath. Thurman alleged that Miramax refused to release the crash footage to her unless she signed a document releasing them from liability. Years later, Tarantino provided Thurman with the footage, which she made public. The director called the crash, "the biggest regret of my life." While they've since reached a tentative peace, with Tarantino acknowledging his responsibility, the incident forever altered what had been Hollywood's most celebrated director-actress collaboration. Thurman has said she would work with him again under the right circumstances, but the shadow of that Mexican roadway still looms large over their creative legacy. Bruce Willis. The die-hard star's clash with Tarantino during Pulp Fiction remains one of Hollywood's most notorious behind-the-scenes feuds. Willis portrayed boxer Butch Coolidge in the 1994 masterpiece, but the path to that performance was anything but smooth. Tension began brewing even before cameras rolled. According to multiple production sources, Willis arrived on set with what Tarantino perceived as a Hollywood superstar attitude, expecting script changes and special treatment that clashed with the director's meticulously crafted vision. Tarantino, then only on his second major feature, wasn't about to let anyone, even an A-lister, alter his dialogue. The breaking point reportedly came during filming of The Pawnshop Basement. Scenes. Tarantino, known for his exacting standards, allegedly grew frustrated with Willis's interpretation of Butch. According to crew members who spoke to Entertainment Weekly, Tarantino exploded after Willis repeatedly delivered lines differently than instructed. "This isn't an action movie where you just look tough and say whatever feels right," Tarantino reportedly shouted. "Say the words exactly as I wrote them." Willis, accustomed to significant input on his characters, pushed back. The receipts of their conflict were evident to everyone on set, with producer Lawrence Bender reportedly having to step in multiple times to mediate between the stubborn actor and equally headstrong director. The fallout extended beyond Pulp Fiction. Despite the film's enormous success, resurrecting Willis's career after several flops, Tarantino never worked with Willis again. In subsequent interviews, Tarantino was notably reserved when discussing Willis, offering only terse praise while lavishing detailed compliments on other cast members. Willis, for his part, has acknowledged the tension, but credited the experience with teaching him to trust the material more than my instincts sometimes. Michael Madsen. The gravel-voiced actor who memorably sliced off an ear as Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs had a complicated relationship with Tarantino that slowly deteriorated over decades. Initially part of Tarantino's recurring ensemble, Madsen's relationship with the director soured primarily over roles the actor believed were promised to him but went to others. Their professional partnership began brilliantly with Reservoir Dogs in 1992, where Madsen's chilling performance dancing to Stuck in the Middle with You became an instant cinematic touchstone. Tarantino was so impressed that he reportedly told Madsen he'd written the role of Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction specifically for him. Here's where the trouble started. According to Madsen's numerous interviews, including a candid 2020 conversation with The Hollywood Reporter, Tarantino offered him the Vega role, but scheduling conflicts with Wyatt Earp prevented him from accepting. Quentin got really mad at me, Madsen recalled. He was like, I wrote this for you, and now you're doing this Kevin Costner cowboy movie? The role, of course, went to John Travolta, reigniting his career and becoming one of cinema's most celebrated comebacks. The real fallout came with Kill Bill. Madsen appeared as Bud in the revenge epic, but has repeatedly claimed Tarantino originally promised him the much larger role of Bill, which ultimately went to David Carradine. I was supposed to play Bill, Madsen told The Independent. If you look at the character in the movie, it's obvious it was written for me. The long-term consequences were significant. Though they worked together again on The Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Madsen's roles grew progressively smaller. Their once close friendship cooled considerably, with Madsen lamenting in interviews that Tarantino no longer calls him for advice or friendship, just work. It's not the same relationship anymore, he confessed to Vanity Fair. And that hurts more than losing any role. Jamie Foxx. The Oscar-winning actor's contentious relationship with Tarantino during Django Unchained production revealed the challenges of portraying America's painful racial history, even for a director known for provocative storytelling. Foxx, who ultimately delivered a career-defining performance as the vengeful freed slave Django, nearly walked away multiple times during filming. Tension began during early rehearsals when Foxx questioned Tarantino's approach to the material. According to cast members and production staff who spoke to Vanity Fair, Foxx was uncomfortable with the frequency of racial slurs in the script, which Tarantino insisted were historically accurate and necessary for the narrative. Jamie would pull Quentin aside almost daily, one crew member recalled. These weren't calm conversations. The breaking point reportedly came during filming of the plantation scenes. Tarantino's direction pushed for what he called historical authenticity in depicting slavery's brutality, while Foxx advocated for more nuance. According to co-star Samuel L. Jackson in a SiriusXM interview, Foxx confronted Tarantino after a particularly difficult scene, saying, "Man, we can't show our people like this all the time." The receipts of their conflict appeared in subsequent press interviews, where both men acknowledged the tension while downplaying its severity. Tarantino told Charlie Rose, "Jamie and I had creative discussions about Django's journey," while Foxx more directly addressed it in an Esquire profile. "I challenged him because I had to carry that burden. I needed to know he understood what he was asking me to portray." Despite completing the film to critical acclaim and commercial success, with Foxx receiving universal praise for his performance, the fallout lingered. Unlike many of Tarantino's favorite actors who appear across multiple films, Foxx hasn't worked with the director since. When asked about potential future collaborations, Foxx has remained diplomatically non-committal, saying only that the experience was creatively challenging but ultimately rewarding. Kurt Russell. The veteran actor's clash with Tarantino during The Hateful Eight demonstrated the director's unyielding commitment to his vision, even at the cost of destroying priceless Hollywood artifacts. Russell, playing bounty hunter John Ruth, found himself at odds with the director over both performance style and an infamous guitar-smashing scene that went horribly wrong. Friction began during rehearsals when Russell, drawing on his 5 decades of experience, questioned Tarantino's direction for his character. According to crew members who spoke to The Hollywood Reporter, Russell preferred a more naturalistic approach to the ruthless bounty hunter, while Tarantino pushed for a broader, more theatrical performance reminiscent of classic westerns. Kurt kept saying, "Real people don't talk like this," one production assistant recalled. And Quentin would fire back, "It's not about realism, it's about my reality." The situation escalated during filming of a pivotal scene where Russell's character smashes a guitar played by Jennifer Jason Leigh. The production had secured a priceless 145-year-old Martin guitar on loan from the Martin Guitar Museum, with the understanding that a replica would be substituted for the destruction scene. According to the film's sound mixer Mark Ulano in an SSN Insider interview, a miscommunication led to Russell destroying the irreplaceable antique instrument on camera. When he realized it was the real thing, Kurt was horrified, Ulano said. What made matters worse was Tarantino's reaction. According to multiple accounts, he was delighted with the authentic destruction and the genuine shock on Lee's face. When Russell expressed his dismay, Tarantino reportedly dismissed his concerns, saying the museum should be honored to have their guitar immortalized in his film. The fallout was severe. The Martin Guitar Museum announced they would never again loan instruments to film productions. Russell and Tarantino completed the film professionally, but tension remained evident in press appearances. While Russell returned for a small role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, their working relationship had clearly cooled. As Russell later told GQ, "I've been around long enough to know what's worth fighting for. Sometimes you just have to say, this isn't my movie, it's his." Ving Rhames. The imposing actor's brief but memorable role as crime boss Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction belied significant behind-the-scenes tension with Tarantino over the film's most controversial scene. While Rhames delivered an iconic performance that helped cement the film's place in cinematic history, his experience during the notorious GIMP sequence left him deeply at odds with the director's vision. Problems arose during preparation for the basement scenes where Rhames's character is sexually assaulted. According to several crew members who later spoke to Filmmaker magazine, Rhames expressed significant reservations about the graphic nature of the scene and how it would portray a powerful black man. Ving kept asking, "Is this necessary?" one production assistant recalled. He wanted to know if there was another way to show Marcellus being humiliated without going there. The conflict intensified during filming, when Tarantino reportedly refused to compromise on his vision. According to actor Peter Green, who played Zed, in a rare interview with The Guardian, Tarantino told Rhames, "This scene is the whole point. It's about power being taken from the most powerful person in the movie. It has to be this extreme." The receipts of their disagreement were evident in Rhames' later reluctance to discuss the scene in detail during press interviews. While promoting other projects, he would deflect questions about the basement sequence, once telling Entertainment Weekly, "Some things you do for art aren't things you want to relive in conversation 20 times." The fallout from their creative differences was subtle but telling. Despite Tarantino's penchant for reusing actors across his filmography, he never worked with Rhames again. Though Rhames has never publicly criticized Tarantino, industry insiders have noted his conspicuous absence from the director's recurring ensemble. When asked in a 2019 podcast if he'd work with Tarantino again, Rhames offered only a diplomatic, "if the role was right." The subtext was clear to those familiar with their history. Meanwhile, Tarantino has continued to defend the scene as essential to the film's exploration of power dynamics, never acknowledging any tension with Rhames over its execution. The film industry often creates strange bedfellows, forcing creative differences to be temporarily set aside in service of the final product. But some wounds never fully heal, even when the cameras stop rolling. John Travolta. The Saturday Night Fever star's casting in Pulp Fiction revitalized his career, but his relationship with Tarantino was far from smooth sailing. While the role of Vincent Vega earned Travolta an Oscar nomination and cultural reinstatement, behind the scenes, the actor and director repeatedly clashed over creative control and character interpretation. Tension began during pre-production when Tarantino, then still establishing himself as a directorial force, faced significant pushback from the studio about casting Travolta, whose career had been in decline for years. According to producer Lawrence Bender in a Vanity Fair retrospective, Tarantino fought ferociously for Travolta against studio wishes for a more bankable star. This created an awkward dynamic where Tarantino felt Travolta should show more gratitude, while Travolta, still remembering his A-list days, approached the role with veteran confidence. The conflict escalated during filming of the Jackrabbit Slim scenes. According to multiple crew accounts, Travolta had strong opinions about how Vincent Vega should move and speak. Having built his early career on physical performance, Travolta wanted to incorporate more distinctive mannerisms. Tarantino, protective of his dialogue-driven approach, reportedly erupted after Travolta improvised several physical choices. "You're not here to reinvent this character," Tarantino shouted, according to a crew member who spoke to The Hollywood Reporter. "Just say the words exactly as I wrote them." Travolta, unaccustomed to such direction after years as a leading man, was reportedly stunned into silence. The receipts of their strained relationship appeared in subsequent interviews, where Tarantino subtly downplayed Travolta's contributions, while lavishing praise on Samuel L. Jackson's interpretation of Jules. Tarantino would often describe Travolta's performance as exactly what the role needed, faint praise that suggested mere adequacy rather than brilliance. The fallout became evident when Travolta, unlike many actors in Pulp Fiction, never appeared in another Tarantino film. When asked about potential reunions in a 2019 interview, Travolta offered the diplomatically vague, "We've discussed possibilities," while Tarantino has remained notably silent on the subject. Industry insiders suggest that while both men recognized the career-changing collaboration they achieved, the creative friction made a second partnership unlikely. Film sets are pressure cookers where artistic temperaments collide in service of a shared vision. But even when the results are legendary, not all creative partnerships survive the process intact. Patterns emerge: control, vision, and the delicate dance between a director's words and an actor's interpretation. What do you think of these contentious relationships? Are there other actors you believe had difficult experiences with Tarantino that we missed? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes Hollywood stories, and we'll see you in the next one.